Okay, good afternoon once again. And once again, thanks to all of you for joining this webinar today. Much appreciate you taking your time out and being with us and in addressing uh, a, a challenge, a solution, a resolve that is very, very important for all of us in the community, in the society, I guess, all in all for the earth. So, uh, welcoming you to the eighth episode of season 4, Decoding Circularity. So while we go and meet up with the speakers, we talk to them and we can take their views and all that. I just take a lot of pleasure to welcome Mr. Mohit Rubel, Head of Operations at PEHEL, and Mr. Chandan, who's from Samprabhav Foundation. I'm sure it is our real pleasure that you are here today in this webinar. Thanks a lot for joining in. And I guess I want to just reflect on a few things out here. So Sambhav has been actively engaging in the management of waste, particularly e-waste, plastics and batteries. And here we primarily are talking about e-waste at this point in time. And as you all know, we over the years have become a full-fledged end-to-end collection to recycling company and heading towards ensuring full-fledged circularity as far as e-waste is concerned. Now, in the process, while we're talking about collection, recycling, etc., one of the key elements is always awareness. And without awareness, no collection happens, and the right responsible recycling will never happen. And as part of the awareness creation is where Sambhav has been engaged in multiple awareness programs, be it stakeholder awareness programs, which we do maybe a couple of hundred programs every year. We do mobile van drives across the country, in spreading awareness again, as well as in engaging in collection. We also engage in retail programs. We engage in programs like this, where we're doing a webinar with you all. And the effort here again is to spread the awareness among different parts of the community, the society, so that the concept of originally the responsible recycling and then moving over to circularity comes into play. Now, this particular season 4, we've been running 4 seasons of about 8 episodes each. This incidentally is the 8th and the last episode of season 4. And this season has been on the point of decoding circularity. Now, what have we done? This just a quick reflection on what we have been doing this year in these 8 episodes. That we are on the 8th episode, and we're talking for the collective action for a cohesive e-waste movement. We started off this entire decoding circularity. There's a season 4. We started with a bunch of things. We talked about how to recycle plastics and engines, especially e-waste plastic. We're not talking about the general purpose plastics that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, but primarily about e-waste plastics, which are mostly engineering plastics. How today they are not treated with the value and respect that one would need to accord to engineering plastics. So what are the actions possible, what we should do, etc. So that was discussed as the first episode in as far as e-waste plastics is concerned. We also looked deeply into the rare earth elements. A lot of talk at that point in time, if you recall, was about the availability of rare earth for the magnet manufacturing and other such manufacturing in the country, most of which were being imported, and especially from our neighbors. And availability of those was becoming very, very difficult. And the webinar talked about how it's possible to do a lot of mining of these rare earth elements from the e-waste that we are generating, as long as we are responsibly recycling them. So we talked about later about difficult to recycle plastics and e-waste. So we were touching upon elements where recycling today is a challenge. Recycling is not happening, and elements for which technology has to be developed. And in all areas where Sambhav definitely participates, works hard on to make sure that all the material that is available in the waste that all of us use on a day-to-day basis are recycled and made circular. Then while talking that, while we are talking about recycling on one side, on the other side, we should not forget the massive economy that persists on the streets at any point in time, which actually helps all of us as individuals to return the waste that we generate, or I'm wrong to say return the waste, send the waste back to recycling, which is the informal economy. The informal economy is there. There's a lot of talk about converting the informal economy into formal economy, but it's a pillar. It's a real strong pillar for ensuring that the e-waste that is getting generated actually reaches back to recycling units. Okay. Now, on the other side, it also is important to talk about how we can use various channels. So, in fact, I think one of the episodes we were talking about in terms of creating awareness was with a few journalists, and very, very interesting episode that was how they lived with the in the spaces of informal economy or in places of collection. How do they looked at waste, how actually it happens, and the various points of view, the perspectives that they were able to garner when they were doing all that. And it was a very, very animated discussion, that particular episode. And we then looked at the social, cultural, and the policy dimensions of the e-waste in India. That was another side. So if you looked at it so far in these 7 episodes that have gone by in this season 4, this financial year, we have looked at materials, we looked at the possibilities of recycling, we looked at how do we go about developing technology, working on technology for the recycling. We have looked at the channels that are there, which are formal or informal, and which are aiding in the process. When how do you secure and make sure that there is responsible recycling leading to circularity of materials that happens? We're talking about how the media is able to support, and we are also able to talk about the policy aspects, etc. So we have covered a whole spectrum of spaces in looking at the waste, the recycling, the media, the narrative, etc., etc. And today we are here to talk about a cohesive e-waste movement. And incidentally, when we talk about it, I just want to point out that, as I said, 𝗗𝗏𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗵𝗲 is working from the entire range of the spectrum in terms of e-waste management, when it comes to from creating awareness to collection from various channels, be it retail, be it individuals, be it RWAs, be it through our own collection centers, or through we also work with the informal channels. So institutions, hospitals, offices, colleges, schools, name it, and we are present all over the place. So a huge effort goes into collecting the material in the right manner, making sure that it reaches the right location to make sure that the recycling happens responsibly. And we are in the quest of finding the right ways to make it circular, to make sure that the materials that we are recycling are reaching back to become products again, to become components of the various products that we will use tomorrow, in the future. So in this entire spectrum, one of the most difficult, and I would say two of the most difficult, actually, not one, two of the most difficult ones are actually creating awareness among the public and actually collecting the material, the waste that is getting generated. We all know that, everybody knows, but then nobody seems to know. It's like the typical question that is asked in many seminars where it says like, hey, is exercise good for health? Yes, all of us know it is good for health. How many of you exercise? Hardly one hand goes up. Today, the public is more aware, and today maybe I can expect many hands in that in a group to go up. But it is something which is like, yes, we know, but still we do not participate. Now, how do we build the awareness to, one, to make people know, and two, to make sure that people participate? And that is the challenge, and that is a huge challenge at this point in time facing all of us. Because unless and until people participate in full, the collection, the real collection of material truly doesn't happen. And that leads to the second issue of the challenge, which is the actual collection of material. without going into channels which are working on spurious ways, which treat human resources like nothing. When there's a lot of human rights violations, all of that happens. So how do you ensure that you avoid it, ensure that the collected material comes in the same form as it is collected from the individual to the responsibly recycling location, so that we are able to extract the metals and materials that are available in those products. So, having said that, how do we involve various the government agencies, the civil society organizations? How do we involve them? How do we bring them together? Because they can play a huge role in both in creating awareness and in ensuring the collection happens in the right way and it reaches the right destination. How do we involve them? That has been one of the questions, and we have been working on both the sides for a long time. But this year, our approach has been so much more focused, and that is what leads us to this particular webinar. We do have Mr. Chandan from Samprabhav Foundation, and we also have Mohit from 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗶 who will be joining us today. And we have Shivangi who will be moderating this conversation with them. Now, that we run these webinars, and obviously these webinars don't happen on their own. There's a lot of effort that goes behind it, and we have a very, very large set of very conscious brands which sponsor, which support this, who want to make sure that the right efforts are made in this direction so that the collection of these e-waste, the e-waste goes to the right hands and the recycling happens. So we really want to acknowledge that spirit, the consciousness of these sponsors, of these brands. And I would like to call them out. We have Apple, we have Dell Technologies, Canon India, Cisco, Ericsson, Tejas Networks, Boat, Nothing, and CNR, who have been supporting these conversations, who have been sponsoring these conversations, when we sincerely appreciate this effort that these brands have taken and putting behind this. Thank you for that. So at this stage, I would pause and take Shivangi, let Shivangi take over and go through the conversation on how do we build this collective action for a cohesive e-waste movement. Over to you, Shivangi. Shivangi, incidentally, has been with 𝗗𝗏 for over, maybe about 5, 6? No, it's too strong. Yeah, that's right. I hit it right. I went from 5 to 6, so 6 years already. And she is the lead of the project office out here. And she's been active in many, many spaces, from client management to business development, and now an extremely active role in the projects office. So thank you very much for all the support and the work that you do, Shivangi. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mani. Thank you for that. And very rightly said that one word that stuck out to me when you were talking about all the topics that we have covered this year and what essentially is needed to create any sort of change is whether it is actually happening, whether there's tangible work being done, of awareness being created, communities being engaged, and of waste being collected. And incidentally, it was the 34th president of US, Dwight D. Eisenhower, who said the last mile is the longest mile. For us waste collectors, it's the first mile. That's the longest mile. And that's what makes initiatives conducted by NGOs like Samprabhav or 𝗗𝗏𝗀𝗶 so critical, because these are the deepest engagements that we have at a community level. And it's so necessary to mobilize communities, not only from the perspective of, oh, these are consumers, we need collection, and therefore we need them to engage. But it's much more than that as well, because these are the same consumers who are the designers of these companies. These are the same consumers who are the bulk consumers as well. They form our regulators, they form our enforcers. So this last mile deep connection is so important, also from the perspective of informal sector, because I also recall having a very, very animated conversation within the series sometime earlier, where we discussed how informal sector is perceived and how important a role it plays versus how it's usually incorporated or left out from policy. So, on that note, I'd like to introduce both our speakers today. We have Mr. Mohit, who is a PhD scholar in mass communication with academic training in MJMC and MBA. He works as a radio jockey at All India Radio, combining media practice with research oriented thinking. For the past 5 years, he has been associated with 𝗶𝗴𝗀𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗃, where he currently serves as the head of operations. His responsibilities include overseeing overall organizational function, setting, monitoring targets, managing recruitment, and resolving administration and operational challenges. And I think I'll run out of fingers if I start counting all of the things he does at 𝗶𝗴𝗀𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗃. Welcome, Mohit. And before Mohit, I have a question for you, but before I ask that question, I'd also like to introduce our second speaker today, Mr. Chandan, who is a purpose-driven sustainability leader with over 18 years of experience in ethical sourcing, community empowerment, and impact strategy. As a leader at Samprabhav Foundation, he designs scalable solutions that transform CSR into meaningful change, building cross-sector partnerships that deliver measurable social and environmental outcomes. Welcome, both of you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mohit, my first question is to you, actually. From your experience working on ground, how do you think community engagement specifically and partnerships on ground influence the success of e-waste initiatives? What role does trust and long-term relationships in these communities play?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for having me from 𝗶𝗴𝗀𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗃. I'm not that much confident right now because listening Mani sir and you and doing that what 𝗗𝗏𝗀 is doing, it really giving me that feeling that really I have joined a very big webinar today. So talking about my experience of field, let me tell you, it's not a one way, like you cannot expect a good term, good quality success from just giving one lecture only. It's a continuous process. If you are giving them commitment that what we are doing, why we are doing, why we are taking this initiative of collecting e-waste, why this is the process of like to telling them that what is e-waste to why and how it will work after that. So it's a complete, a phenomena, a process where it's a commitment, consistency, and also proof of impact that what you are giving, where it is going, and how it will convert into, that circular economy, that all the process we are doing. So I would say that many times, even at 𝗶𝗴𝗀𝗂𝗶𝗀𝗃 only, we face that if you are going somewhere and giving lecture and then start like other people start expecting that, okay, now we will collect e-waste and people will give the e-waste. No, I'd say that it doesn't happen like this because it's a continuous process. So doing the like proper, I would say proper feedback, it's very compulsory, and also talking in the same way where people having the same level of, the same compatibility. There's a must same level compatibility, because I believe that people only work and only will start reciprocal your work because if they feel like that you are doing something that also affect their life. Okay, like there's a song in Punjabi that says that every person is doing every work for the four reasons: pyar, shonk, lalach, or danda. So pyar, if he really work, he really loves that what you are doing, and shonk, that really connects you, and passion, that you want to do something for the society, and the last danda, it means that force, the legal thing, the lawful thing that you have to do. But we majorly work that, okay, we are talking to them in that way that it really connects them, that why you are doing this e-waste initiative, why it is so important. Because we also have that video that you people have given us where there's a video of very young boys from the Delhi, and they're doing collecting e-waste, and they got some really serious disease. So when we go to the schools and colleges and we show this video to our students, they really connect. And the impact of these videos, of these things, it really, even sometimes we got amazed because they talk to their parents at the evening, and their parents call us that, hey, you people, came to our school or college today, and now our students are after our life that whatever lecture you have given, so now tell me that where your people office is, and we want to give our e-waste of the house. So this whole phenomena, because I'm leading Pahel and I'm doing so many things, but whenever I see Mr. Bipan, that who's doing this EVS sessions with the 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗵𝗲𝗍, with the help of 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗵𝗲𝗍, obviously. So because I also receive some calls, so it gives me also the happiness that what we are doing at ground, and how people are taking us. So yeah.
No, absolutely, Mohit. That does bring up a question, and actually, that question would be for you, Chandan. Would be considering how important these deeper relationships become, is there any one particular model that you have found is good to scale these up as well? Because one thing is, of course, having these initiatives in smaller localized clusters, but scaling up has always been something that I think people don't intuitively get. So, any particular partnership model or approach that you have seen working really well when scaled up?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity that Sambhav has given. Right. So, yeah, coming to your question, Shivangi, I think, see, the one model what we have tested out in collaboration with 𝗗𝗏𝗀𝗏 is, I think we are trying to partner with the educational institutions. Okay, so that is really what is working out. Because see, we want to involve them with the responsibility. The waste is all about the responsibility. So when we go and create awareness, we talk about big things about circular economy, which common man or a children or a students does not understand. And as we are aware that like everyone is handling with the e-waste. Okay, it might be at the house, it might be at the institution, it might be at the organization level. So everyone is handling the e-waste. I think there is a lack of awareness how responsibly we can discard it. Okay, and that's a lack of awareness. But when we start creating awareness, okay, awareness is not just the solution here. Okay, because we have addressed many institutions, creating a lot of awareness about the e-waste. And when we deliver the session, the children, the participants, they are very happy because they know what the e-waste is now, so where to discard. But when it comes to action, there the responsibility is not there. So I think we should focus more on the collaboration with responsibility. That is very, very important. So where we are, I think the one partnership model that would work, I think we need to have a collaboration, understanding between these the universities, the educational institutions, or the residential associations, where we have to enter with a certain contract, or I mean the certain agreement that we are responsible for. I mean the Samprabhav Foundation, 𝗗𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗍. So we are responsible for your e-waste. Okay, and you are responsible how you are going to hand over to us, how you are going to discard it. No, I think we need to create a win-win for both of us. Maybe we have to align with certain terms and conditions. Whenever the e-waste is generated, how we are going to collect it. See, the awareness is one part. So awareness now, if you go to the residential association, the senior people, the adults, they already know what the e-waste is. Okay, they're least bothered. They're least bothered. They just want to get rid of the e-waste or discard. Maybe because I have seen the people living in the apartment, they just want to leave it outside. I mean, the waste picker, the waste collector, the scrap wala, kabadi wala, someone picks it out, and I mean, that again ends up in. I mean, few things will end up in landfill. Few goes into the scrap shop, informal. I mean, managing it informally. All these things happen. But I think we have to collectively come together. Okay, we have to collectively come together and organize a system. So I think I feel that only the system works. Okay, so I mean, I think that is what we are hoping for, the collaboration and the system in place, right? Yeah.
So, Chandan, are there any specific triggers that you feel help motivate people to give their waste? And one thing I think also pertinent is that even the way people deal with waste is not usually the same. Some waste they want money against. Some things they might not want money against. So, and Mohit, this question is for you as well. Any specific triggers you have identified which make it easier for people to give their waste?
See, the one thing is, I mean, there are different kinds of e-waste, because see, I mean, because when we approached people at the residential association at the institutions, they expect some kind of money for the e-waste what they are giving away, right? Because they know that there is a market for it. That's why we are here. Okay, it's not about social or environmental responsibility. No, because when we approach people, maybe a Samprabhav Foundation or through Karo Sambhav, even if you directly approach, the people first thing they ask is, okay, we will hand over the e-waste to you. What is that we are going to get? Okay. So I mean, in that case, I mean they don't negotiate, they don't bargain that what they are getting it, but they want something. Okay, they want something, but especially when it comes to a residential association, but there are systems in some institutions where they get into a tendering process, negotiation, the stuff like that. No, I think these things can be actually challenged. These things can be actually been addressed. That's what I told you. I think we need to get into. I think we tried this with two universities in now. Not only collecting the e-waste, the collecting e-waste should be our end process. Okay, because if you focus only on the collecting e-waste, they think it is a business. Okay, because there is the resource behind it, there is a money behind it. That's why these people are getting involved. I think we need to focus more on, I mean, the awareness part of it. Okay, making their stakeholders, making their children, making the stakeholders to understand, what the e-waste is, and also engage them in different activities, conducting different events, right? Different activities, and also incentivizing them, with some kind of certification, recognition, right? Some goodies, because we are involving children, students, and all. Maybe this is the strategy what we need to follow. Okay, and our 70% effort should go there. I mean, then the collection will happen automatically. Okay, because if you focus more on that, then I think then the people thinks that it is a business, right? Because when NGO is approaching, especially when the NGO is approaching these institutions, our approach should be totally on a different model. It should be on a collaboration, partnership, right? I think we should be approaching in that model, is what I believe.
Mohit, I'm wondering though, because you had also mentioned how delivering one-time sessions is not something that's effective in the long run. You need to have long-term partnerships. And Chandan, for example, commented that approaching it with the idea of collecting usually does not elicit a lot of encouraging responses from participants, at least when it is colleges or institutes, that sort of crowd, right? So what avenues of long-term partnerships have you figured work best in this scenario when we are engaging with colleges, institutes, or if there are any other type of stakeholders that you have engaged and you're like, okay, no, this strategy really works with them?
So basically, when we talk about private institutes like hospitals or any other private institute, they have fixed this habit that collecting e-waste by their own, and they will sell to the kabadi wala only. They do not believe the concept of the circular economy or anything. They just don't buy this thing because they think that it's an easy way to give their e-waste to these vendors and having money just the same day, and even they are giving obviously like more money than us. But if we talk about the commitment thing, the consistency, this formula, I think it will work in the school and colleges only because there is a unit named NSS. And in the NSS or in the NCC, the mostly students are only involving those who have those grounded and those like believe that they have the responsibilities too towards the nation, towards the college. So mostly whenever we give it, go to these kind of school colleges, so mostly we have seen only these students only, these people only, and similarly their teachers only. like only their faculty members, only their ANOs only, they will have the more interest towards that why you are doing this. And they also, sometimes ask very unique questions that why only PEHL is doing this, why not other NGOs, why government is not doing anything particularly about this. So it means that they have some curiosity, and definitely we engage and we answer those questions, and they also now participate. So doing MOUs with these kind of schools or colleges especially, then we can say that this formula, the commitment formula, it really works. Because there's a school in our, like, near to our city, Phagwara. They are giving us e-waste on the regular basis, because obviously they are doing in the school, and the many computer system and the many system, they are using it. After 2-3 years they have to replace that. Okay, so they obviously contact PEHL, and they are giving e-waste to us. So, but at the other hand, private institutes or the hospitals, they don't believe. They just only saying, okay, you have given your lecture, thank you so much, provide a certificate, but we will contact you whenever we have the e-waste. So there's we facing, but we can also have some other reward things even for the students only. No doubt we're giving them certificate, but we else can like other things we can also plan. Like we recently had an idea that because we have our also like annual day of PEHL, that we will give the certificate from the DC. But it's a good thing, that student will receive the certificate from the deputy commissioner of your city, and it will also encourage them. So at a state level or a national level, even through the webinar only, if we can give them this kind of reward thing or certificate, or even a post, it would be working. If you will post his or her photo or name in your channel or somewhere, I think it will also boost them.
That's yeah, that is absolutely true. Chandan, on that note though, because both of you talked about how much engagement you usually see in younger people, younger folks, they're much more likely to be in it for the fact that they like to do something versus having a very concrete uh, monetary gain, so to say. I'm just wondering, because whenever we talk about different initiatives for community engagement, there are also initiatives which focus on disenfranchised groups like your informal sector workers, whether it's the waste picker themselves or people who are doing informal recycling. And in a lot of ways, the initiatives that reach out to them, I feel, also tend to fall short in the way they are engaging with these communities. What has been your experience on that?
So your question is particularly about managing e-waste at the informal sector, right?
Informal sector, any disenfranchised group, because as far as students are concerned, or any such colleges are concerned, the demographic is quite different versus
Yes,
people
absolutely.
who are,
Yeah.
that's their livelihood.
Yeah, so we need to understand the source, okay? Because now I think the informal sector is also aware that e-waste is valuable. Okay, so there is a value for it. Okay, so because now we are working with approximately like 200 plus scrap shops across South India, because we are also into plastic collection, right? We are doing responsible, I mean, the plastic recovery program, okay, along with Repurpose Global. And also we are handling a lot of plastic waste across all the centers. So we closely work with the scrap shops, and and we understand that the scrap shops equally get the e-waste, right? They get the e-waste, and and most of the scrap shops, what I mean, there are different sources getting it. One is the organized waste collectors who work under the municipality. So when they collect it from the household, they collect it and they know it has a value. They short it separately, they keep it separately and sell it to the scrap shops. Okay, the scrap shops buys it at certain cost. Okay, and then there are households, okay, who wants to get rid of their waste, so they directly come and deposit at the scrap shops. For that also they get paid. And also there are independent waste collectors who just go on the street, or whatever they get, they just pick it, and through them also there is a the little, not much, the little e-waste that comes to the scrap shop. So these are the different sources. But I have also seen some of the scrap shops, they have a very good network with the small companies. Okay, and these small companies also, instead of engaging the recyclers directly or engaging organizations like us, they also discard the e-waste directly to the scrap shops. Okay, again, the scrap shop is in the informal sector. They get e-waste in different forms. And I have seen 90% of the scrap shop, they are not sending it to the recycler directly. It's the middleman, it's the agent in between who handles this e-waste, and it is being sent to Gurgaon, Delhi. So that's from South India, it goes to the North India. And before it going, 90% of the scrap shop, they break open the all the e-waste, and they just separate the valuables from it. Might be copper, aluminum, whatever they can. I mean, they might not be aware of the other heavy metals and other things, but they are aware of certain things like copper, aluminum, which they separate, especially from the motors, and then that is sold separately. It is not your part of our e-waste. And if someone again comes and recycler picks up the e-waste, all other material goes into the e-waste. Okay, so this is what I mean. This is what I have seen how the e-waste, because even if we engage waste scrap shops, we can generate huge amount of e-waste. But this is the challenge. You might not get the e-waste. Maybe you can get mouses, keypad, the keyboard, some small items like that without breaking. But if you think about the bigger things like washing machine, refrigerators, all these things, which if there is a valuable, they know there is a valuable, they just take it out and they sell it separately. And what you get is the only box with some boards, panel boards or something like that. Okay, of course, we can engage them and we can route a lot of e-waste through them, right?
What's the hesitation then in engaging with any initiative, whether it's CSR backed or it's an initiative that the NGO themselves are taking up? What's the hesitation in this particular group that?
No, can you give me? I mean,
Am I
can you
audible?
repeat your question straightforward? Yeah, detail.
Yeah. My question was, you said that even when engaging with informal workers or informal who are formal workers that are surrounded by informal workers, you can engage them, but still the practice remains that they will break open most of the products, and whatever is valuable is sold locally, and the remaining material then gets eventually moved on to Delhi NCR, right? So any particular reason that you have identified where this resistance comes from for this community to engage?
No, I don't think there is a resistance. See, now there is no collection, right? There is no proper collection for e-waste, only particular for e-waste. So now we are engaging people on and off. No, I see our reach is not much. It might be in any NGO. The cities are huge. The population is huge. The residential associations are huge. There are a lot of companies, and our reach is nothing, right? So the only reach for all these people may be informal waste collectors, households, or anybody. The only reach is the scrap shop. Okay, that's why the scrap shops were able to collect all the waste, not only e-waste, all the e-waste. Maybe tomorrow we have a separate outlet, maybe separate units where we can collect e-waste separately. Then definitely all the e-waste can be routed to one place where it can be handled properly. Okay, so we don't have such infrastructure set up anywhere. I know there are organizations engaging companies to give the e-waste, but there is no collection units where general public, residential association like scrap shop who can directly reach out and they handle only e-waste. Maybe if such things are established at the city level or at the town level, definitely I think people will reach out. Even the informal waste collectors might directly come and deposit the e-waste where we can handle it properly, because we will not break it. We will not break it to take the value. Maybe we will we will send it to the recycling as it is. Maybe that's the one option that can be explored, right?
Absolutely. Mohit, I have a question for you. Slight tangent from what we were discussing, because we are currently discussing engaging a particular demographic. But what's coming to my mind is also how a lot of this information is communicated to these communities, whether it's schools, colleges, students, or whether it's informal sector workers. considering your work on media and implementation, how powerful do you think communication is in shaping how this this collective action takes place, irrespective of whether it is at an informal sector worker level or whether it is at a school level? How powerful do you think communication itself is?
Definitely, Shivangi. Communication is the only thing, we do talk to each other and passing information and telling people that why this is required. So the same thing that I would repeat, that if we are talking to the students or to the any people like school, college, or any private institute, that they must connect to the idea that why we are doing this and how we are giving this idea, how we are telling them. Because sometimes, because we also, me and Mr. Bipan, we both work at radio, so sometimes we have to make a story, even sometimes a fake story, just to connect, just to make them connect, that people should really connect, that why we are saying this. And oh my God, like it really have so many. Because telling people that if you will do this, you will save this number of trees, you will save this number of people. Okay, it's a countable thing, but maybe people will not show interest. Maybe the other hand, other people will also show interest, because it's also depend person to person that how they see things. But sometimes your other stories, side by side, little jokes, how you are telling them that why you are forcing them, why you are telling them. So it really matters. Because I also, whenever Bipan gives lecture, I also used to listen him. He also comes with new stories every time. Because when you are connecting with the students, so you must have stories only, because it's a not only one way communication. Because if there will be one way communication, and I think people will get bored only. So when you are delivering something, and you also deliberately you're leaving some voids, leaving some blanks, so that students will ask questions after that. So then giving answer and then connecting dots. This is all the method of the strategy we also always follows, because we from the radio people, we have this kind of mindset that we will definitely leave some sports, and people will also come and fill those sports. So yeah, communication is the key only, for the everything. So if we make them just like the same thing I told earlier, that if we build the emotional, that then definitely they will come forward. If we will make them that responsible, that this is your responsibility. So by doing all these sessions, by having all these stories and stats and figures as well, definitely they come forward, and they start participating into it.
Absolutely. I'm just wondering if there are any particular not to do's that you also have identified in the past, because one is, yes, we should, an excellent way of talking to the students is creating a narrative or showing them the narrative rather around waste management. But any not to do's that you have identified that you are like, okay, no, going forward, we should not be doing this when it comes to
Uh,
community
I,
engagement.
I haven't found anything particularly, but yes, when there's a particular slides in your PPT that India is giving this number of e-waste, that's maybe according to me only, that I always observe that students are not engaging there. Instead of those things, we could have more stats. Like let's talk about blood donation. Okay, for just for 1 minute. In blood donation, there is a stats that if in every 2 seconds, one person is like losing his or her life because he's not getting blood on time. It really haunts you, that really this is the real factor, and then people googles it. So these kind of things, it really connects. And just by giving them, because people, students, they don't care sometimes that okay, we are doing this. So first of all, I do not have really specific anything that not to do thing. I'm just saying, giving you answer, but really I do not have, sorry.
No, no, absolutely. I think having a haunting narrative really sticks it in the mind. But e-waste is such a complex problem that sometimes it's also not possible for us to have just one aspect of it because it is such a complex problem. Chandan, any such things that you have observed that, okay, this is one thing that we have realized that it's not working out. This way of engaging the community or this way of reaching out to people is not working out. We need to shift course.
Yeah, I think I think I have addressed this long back also, because just engaging I mean any stakeholders, it might be schools, colleges, institutions, or anything, just for an awareness. Okay, it will not help. Okay, because one time awareness and then we expect them to I mean because the end result should be managing the e-waste, right? Whatever because this awareness is a tool, right? The awareness is a tool, the sensitization is a tool, right? And but the end result should be the collection of e-waste. If that is not happening, then all these things are worth, I mean not worth, not, I mean it's worth for disseminating information, creating education, awareness. Yes, I agree. But there should be some action, right? If that is not happening, then we should be really worried why it is not happening. So in that case, I think we have to change our engagement, not just with one-time activity, creating awareness, and we are expecting them to deliver the result. I don't think that's going to work. Okay, because it's a long-term trust building exercise what we have to do, right? So getting into an agreement, getting into an MOU, engaging them in a long-term sustainable activities, that really works out, and where people can be engaged continuously with various activities, and then we can really expect the result what we are expecting, right? So I think yeah.
No,
You're
we're
supposed
back.
to say
Sorry,
something.
light went out, and unfortunately, both our Wi-Fi routers also went down with that.
Okay.
No, what I was asking was that it's absolutely clear that unless you have sustained presence in whichever community you're reaching out to,
Correct.
and you make it easy for them to take action, it gets kind of relegated to being, okay, we have come, we have heard you out, and we'll all go back to status quo. The change will not come unless you not only make it easy for people to make that change, but you honestly like stick with them while they are making that change. I have one more question, Chandan, for you. I'm looking at it also from the lens of the work that you have been doing in CSR, because just like anything that eventually gets marketed, CSR sometimes has become something that looks good but does not make good, right? Irrespective of intention, whether the intentions were good from the get-go or not, but the action itself, the outcome itself sometimes is not there. What has been your experience on that?
The most CSR fails not because of lack of intent. Okay, it is just because of lack of courage to commit for a long term again. Right? The transformative CSR moves behind visibility to responsibility, because CSR nowadays they are focusing more on the visibility rather than the responsibility. Okay, because the CSR itself talks about corporate social responsibility, but now I think there are very few CSR CSR companies who are adopting CSR into actual transformation, actual transformation and the responsibility, looking at the responsibility. Okay, because CSR especially it invests in people, institutions, and the systems. Then it works. Okay, it should not be just an awareness or something for their visibility or something. If they start investing in people, institution, system, and it stays long enough to see the change that takes, right? So what can we fund? I mean, that's the CSR. You need to think about it like CSR. What can we fund? It asks. I mean, what can we fundamentally change? Okay, basically the CSR is always comes with a concept that what we can fund. That should not be their mindset. It should be like what we can fundamentally change. I think especially in the e-waste management, the CSR role plays a major, the CSR plays a major role, if you ask me. Okay, because I think you have a lot of companies on your banner, might be Canon, Cisco, Dell, Boat. I mean, see, these are all top companies who generate a lot of, electronics items. I mean, that ends up as e-waste. Okay. So what CSR is doing for that particular stream? No, it's very less. I've not seen any of these companies actively doing the CSR activities with respect to managing the e-waste. Okay, because see, I mean it is, they do a lot of marketing, branding, advertising to sell the product, right? If you want to take the same product back, no, they need to understand the same effort is required. It won't come automatically back to you. You know, there are companies, they are saying that you can exchange your old laptop for a new laptop, you can exchange your old fridge for a new. Only that strategy doesn't work. Okay, because there are a lot of other e-waste which is untouched. Which cannot be exchanged. For example, chargers, your keyboard, your mouses, and no company is asking them to exchange or something. Okay, there are companies. Under CSR. That's a business for them actually. If they talk about exchange, come and deposit in the Chroma center or somewhere.
Yeah.
It is a kind of business. But in the CSR field, I don't think, because everyone want number, everyone want education, everyone want health programs to be implemented. I think that there are very least companies who are really bothered about the e-waste, because they need to understand the depth of pollution that e-waste can create if it is not responsibly recovered. Okay.
I think, Chandan, part of this is kind of why also the regulations themselves started creating these. I would एक तरीके से अगर Mohit, if I take your word, danda, but beyond danda as well, it became an avenue for companies to at least also take some level of action in, can we make some movement? But this does not get covered completely till more and more companies join in, right? Because there's only so much that only certain amount of companies can do, and there's such a long yes, Mani.
I just wanted to kind of point out something, and I guess the experts can correct me if I'm wrong. I just wanted to also point out that while CSR is a very good element to use, and unfortunately or fortunately, the way the regulations are framed is that specifically from the e-waste management perspective, the EPR and others, CSR is not to be used. Okay, that's the way the regulations are clearly formed. So you cannot use CSR funds for these purposes. And that is where, if you recall, when I started the webinar, I'm sorry, I kind of had to take my coat off. It was getting too hot out here. So when I started the webinar, I was talking about how there are some of these brands who have truly, and the brands that you see on the banner, Chandan, are some of the brands who have been with us for many, many years in supporting us in making sure that the awareness is made. They have been supporting us in establishing collection centers across the country. They've been supporting us in ensuring that responsible collection and recycling happen. So while hearing the two of you talk all this while, one of the key things that definitely I heard was sustained activity, sustained presence, not one-off, going somewhere, saying something, and then, hey, check back, box, and we are done. That doesn't ever work. And also, Mohit pointed out about NSS and the NSC cadets who are like by themselves responsible people. And how do we bring others who are not having that in them, into this fold? So the sustained presence, sustained activity, and maybe thinking differently, etc., to bring everybody into the fold to understand what is e-waste. So these companies have been very strongly been supporting to make all of this happen, while they have not been doing it. While they have their own set of activities. For example, I can talk about Dell for that matter. They have their own internal thing. Every year we support them with their programs, and we do awareness programs, collection drives internally, both their internal generation as well as their employee generations. All of that does come on. So there are a lot of such programs each of these companies work on, and they are able to, in some situations we participate, there are others who participate in some other situations. So definitely there are brands and the ones that are on the banner definitely are having that effort and consciousness in making sure that this works, and they've been doing it over many, many years. Okay. But having said that, we would like, well, already the banner is becoming a little too big. We are not able to fit it into the screen, but we would love to have the challenge and have more companies and brands which are so much more conscious. Now that, I guess, like you said, there's got to be the sustained presence. By some of the brands definitely have the consciousness and they do it, the will to do it, the ability to do it, and they really don't spare anything. Like whether it is the resource time of their people or their the money that they put in, they definitely put in. But there are many, many others, and there are very, very large companies. I don't want to name anybody out here. Very, very large companies who challenge this whole effort. They are challenging. You will know them. I don't want to mention names out here, but you. So I guess on one side we have some very conscious, very strongly committed brands, and there are others. And I would be happy to see the others come on board and get into this too. Sorry, Shivangi. Back to you.
Yeah.
No, Mani, I think you
I
said exactly what I was also trying to say, that while the rules created an impetus for creating this change, a few of the brands have really taken it and ran with it. And that idea of sustained presence or sustained action, because again, it's something that takes time to show any actual change happening or actual impact happening, right? And it takes patience to stick with it and see, we'll continue working on it, and if needed, inspire more people, because last year we did not have as many brands on this banner, or for a lot of our other programs as well. But because people have sustained working on this again and again and again, other people also start joining in. And I think that absolutely speaks to any tangible change that needs to happen on ground. I think both of you have pointed that out as well, that we need to stick with the communities that we are engaging, and we need to show them that we are here to continue whatever work we are doing with you. Right. One point I will thank Mani for pointing out, though, was the fact that CSR funds can't be used for your compliance related purposes, which does create a problem when it comes to e-waste management specifically. But regardless of that, we have seen companies do excellent amount of work. It's an exciting opportunity. It's also sometimes something that you're like, okay, I wish more people were here, but it's also very exciting to see a lot of people being like, no, we need to do this. We have to do this. This is necessary. It needs to be done. Right. So it's absolutely very, very encouraging from that perspective. Thank you, Mani, for bringing that point out. Okay. So I think we are also running a little over time. So I would like to thank both of our speakers, because I believe it's a very difficult task to sort of merge actual on-ground presence and actual on-ground work with a scale as big as, okay, we are talking country level, right? It's not an easy task to do. And I think that is where a lot of the part of collective action comes in place, because it's not going to be one single entity that's going to achieve and create any of this momentum. It needs to be multiple people banging at the wall to make it fall, right? So thank you, both of you, so much for being here today. And I would like to apologize to the group that we were not able, that Mr. Praveen from Punjab Pollution Control Board and Mr. Arvind from Patna Municipal Corporation, they weren't able to join us. Both of them send their apologies. Unfortunately, they were pulled into some urgent department work and had to step back at the last moment. Both of them were very, very excited to speak on the topic today. With that, I would like to close our session for today. I would like to thank our sponsors, Apple, Dell Technologies, Canon India, Cisco, Ericsson, Tejas Networks, Boat, Nothing, and Sienna, for all the support that they have given us this year, and the support that they have been giving us for all the years. It's been wonderful going through this journey with all of you through this season, and we are even more excited for next year. So thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.